I'm about to tell you things I've never told anyone, not even my family. I was definitely the best bathroom cleaner the world's ever seen, I'm sure. Other people's tragedies, nothing makes us happier than that. I wish upon you plenty of pain and suffering. It's a horrible story, frankly. I feel like he's judging me.
Is love and care kind of an Nvidia catchphrase?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm going to regret saying this. Could you imagine you gave up just that moment right before you got it? We had to make that sacrifice. Oh gosh, they're so dumb. I'd rather torture them into greatness. And if we don't accelerate every software, you're going to see extraordinary computation inflation. I'm obsessed about GPUs, you crazy person. You're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI. Your company is not going to go out of business because of AI. Your company is going to go out of business because another company used AI.
最近看到 Nvidia 执行长黄仁勋的这段访谈，我觉得感触很多，字字句句都是人生精华，充满启发性和渲染力的氛围。所以我忍不住要跟大家分享 Jason Huang 这位美国市值第3大的 Nvidia CEO 不为人知的秘密。接下来就是帮大家制作的精华整理。
That you may not know about Jensen Huang is that he's been CEO of Nvidia for 31 years this month, making him the longest serving CEO in the technology industry and I guess therefore logically necessary. So I want to start out talking a little bit about a remark you made at a Stanford event recently, or speaking of GSB, I think, and you said, "I wish upon you ample doses of pain and suffering." Elaborate.
Well, let's see. There is a misunderstanding. There's a phrase that said you should choose your career based on your passion. And usually people connect passion with happiness. And I think there's something missing in that. Nothing there is wrong, but there's something missing. And you want to build something great, it's not easy to do. And when you're doing something that's not easy to do, you're not always enjoying it. I don't love every day of my job. I don't think every day brings me joy. Nor does joy have to be the definition of a good day. And every day I'm not happy. Every year I'm not happy about the company. But I love the company every single second. And so I think that what people misunderstand is somehow the best jobs are the one that brings you happiness all the time. I don't think that that's right. You have to suffer. You have to struggle. You have to endeavor. You have to do those hard things and work through it in order to really appreciate what you've done. And there are no such thing that are great that was easy to do. And so by definition, I would say, therefore, I wish upon you greatness, which by my way of saying it, I wish upon you plenty of pain and suffering. And so...
Anything in your upbringing that taught you that idea, or is it just somehow innate to your makeup?
I didn't realize I had to lay down for this. I'm about to tell you things I've never told anyone, not even my family. I was an immigrant, and when I came in 1973, I was 9. My older brother was almost 11. And this was a foreign country, and there was nothing easy about that. And we also grew up in a really terrific parents, but we weren't wealthy, and so they worked hard. They work hard today, and so they passed along a lot of life lessons about working hard. Now, I had all kinds of jobs, and we went to a school that included a lot of chores.
Is it in Kentucky?
Yeah, Kentucky, Oneida Baptist Institute. And I don't think it's the same as MIT. That I is not the same, it's the same word, but it's different. It's a different type of institute. But my institute required you to go to school, and it was a dormitory, and so there were a lot of chores. I was the youngest kid in school, and so all of the other kids got the hard work. They had to work in the tobacco farm. And I got the easy job. I was 9 years old. And so after they left, I had to clean all the bathrooms. I never felt that I got the easy job. because what they left behind was, you can't unsee that kind of stuff. But that was my job, and so I did it delightfully, and then I had plenty of other jobs, and Denny's was one of them, and I started out as a dishwasher and became a busboy and became a waiter, and I loved every one of them. I loved every one of them. Somehow, I've always found, I want to say joy, but that's not quite right. I just everything that I was doing, I wanted to do the best I could, and maybe that was kind of ingrained from the very beginning. But I was definitely the best bathroom cleaner the world's ever seen. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
So if we fast forward just a little bit to the Nvidia of today,
Yeah.
How large is your leadership team?
How large is
Your leadership team?
NVIDIA's leadership team? Is 60 people. Yeah.
And they all report to you?
They all report to me.
60 direct reports?
60 direct reports, yeah.
Which is not conventionally considered a best practice. I agree that the best practice kind of...
I'm certain that's the best practice. It's not conventional, but I'm certain it's the best practice. And by the end of this, I'm going to convince all of you to have 60 people on your direct reports.
The floor is yours.
The reason, first of all, the reason is because the layer of hierarchy in your company really matters. Information really matters. I believe that your contribution to the work should not be based on the privileged access to information. I don't do one-on-ones, and my staff is quite large, and almost everything that I say to everybody all at the same time. And the reason for that is because I don't really believe there's any information that I operate on that somehow only one or two people should hear about. And these are the challenges of the company, or this is the problem I'm trying to solve, or this is the direction we're trying to go into. These are the new endeavors. This isn't working. That's working well. And so all of this type of information, everybody should be able to hear. I love that everybody's working off of the same song sheet. I love that there's no privileged access to information. I love that we're able to all contribute to solving a problem. And when you have 60 people in a room, and oftentimes, well, my staff meetings are once every other week. It's all based on issues, whatever issues we have. Everybody's there working on it at the same time. Everybody heard the reasoning of the problem. Everybody heard the reasoning of the solution. Everybody heard everything. And so that empowers people. I believe that when you give everybody equal access to information, it empowers people. And so that's number one, empowering. Number two, if the CEO's direct staff is 60 people, the number of layers you've removed in a company is probably something like 7, depending on how it is.
60 at every layer, or only 60, as in like, if I'm a director, if I'm one of the fortunate 60, do I also have 60 direct reports?
No.
Or, okay, so
I don't think that that's scalable downward. And the reason for that is because you need more and more supervision depending on certain levels. And at the E-staff level, if you're so unfortunate to be serving on NVIDIA's E-staff, it's very unlikely you need a lot of managerial,
And so I rarely find myself having to stand up for conventional wisdom, but you see somebody systematically not doing so well and so forth. So there's all these things that kind of one is, again, conventionally supposed to do in the one-on-one. Do you not do those things, or do you do them in a different way?
Really good question. I do it right there. I do it right there. I give you feedback right there in front of everybody. And in fact, this is really a big deal. First of all, feedback is learning. Feedback is learning. For what reason are you the only person who should learn this? Now, you created the conditions because of some mistake that you made or silliness that you brought upon yourself. We should all learn from that opportunity. So you created the conditions, but we should all learn from it. Does that make sense? And so for me to explain to you why that doesn't make sense or how I differ from it, not half the time I'm not right, but for me to reason through it in front of everybody helps everybody learn how to reason through it. And so the problem I have with one-on-ones and taking feedback aside is you deprive a whole bunch of people that same learning. Learning from mistakes, other people's mistakes, is the best way to learn. Why learn from your own mistakes? Why learn from your own embarrassment? You got to learn from other people's embarrassment. That's why we have case studies, and isn't that right? We're trying to read from other people's disasters, other people's tragedies. Nothing makes us happier than that.
Have you succeeded in getting other leaders at NVIDIA to adopt this practice, or is that difficult?
I give people the opportunity to decide for themselves, but I really discourage one-on-ones. I really discourage one-on-ones. Nothing is worse than the idea that somebody says, "Oh, Jensen wants us to do this." Why does that have to be said to anybody? Everybody should know. And so, or somebody said, that E-staff said that. Nothing drives me nuttier than that.
You once told me that you really didn't like firing people and very seldom did it. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I'd rather improve you than give up on you. When you fire somebody, you're kind of saying, well, a lot of people say, well, it wasn't your fault, or I made the wrong choice, or there are very few jobs. Look, I used to clean bathrooms, and now I'm the CEO of a company. I think you can learn it. I'm pretty certain you can learn this. And there are a lot of things in life that I believe you can learn, and you just have to be given the opportunity to learn it. I had the benefit of watching a lot of smart people do a lot of things. I'm surrounded by 60 people. They're doing smart things all the time, and they probably don't realize it, but I'm learning constantly from every single one of them. And so I don't like giving up on people because I think they could improve. And so it's kind of tongue in cheek, but people know that I'd rather torture them into greatness.
That was the phrase that I was hoping to uncover. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, so I'd rather torture you into greatness because I believe in you. And I think coaches that really believe in their team torture them into greatness. And oftentimes they're so close. Don't give up. They're so close. Greatness it comes all of a sudden one day. It's like, I got it. Do you know what I'm saying? That feeling that you didn't get it yesterday, and all of a sudden one day something clicked. I got it. Could you imagine you gave up just that moment right before you got it? So I don't want you to give up on that. So let's just keep torturing you.
How's your work-life balance?
Well, it depends on who you ask. I think my work-life balance is really great. It's really great. I work as much as I can. And I feel like he's judging me. I'm older than you. I have more wisdom than you. So
These are all the highlights from our conversations that I think more people should get to hear. So.
Well, I work from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, and I work 7 days a week. When I'm not working, I'm thinking about working. And when I'm working, I'm working. And I sit through movies, but I don't remember because I'm thinking about work. And so that's because. But my work is not, as you know, it's not working as in there's this problem and you're trying to solve this problem. You're thinking about what the company can be, and are there things that we could do even better, or sometimes it's just trying to solve a problem. But sometimes you're imagining the future, and boy, if we did this and that, and it's working. You're fantasizing. You're dreaming. You're right. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, so talking about AI, which I hear is a thing these days, but
it's a thing.
Officially a thing. Could Nvidia be as successful in AI without CUDA?
No, impossible. It is potentially one of the most important inventions in modern computing. We invented this idea called accelerated computing, and the idea is so simple but deeply profound. It says the vast majority, a small percentage of the code of programs consumes 99.999% of the runtime. And this is true for a lot of very important applications. And that small little kernel, or several kernels, can be accelerated. And it's not all just parallel processing. It's not as simple as that. But the idea is that we can take that kernel, that piece of software, that part of the software, and accelerate the living daylights out of it. And today, when Moore's law has run its course and CPU scaling is basically stopped, and if we don't accelerate every software, you're going to see extraordinary computation inflation. because the amount of computation the world does is doubling every year still. And yet, if CPUs and general purpose computers are not increasing in performance because it's stopped, then what's your alternative? We invented this idea called accelerated computing.
Okay, so let's talk about AI. I need just to kind of do some math to ground things here. Let's just say that the total sort of compute capacity of all GPUs in the world today is X. What do you think? What multiple of X will we be at in 5 years?
First of all, you know that I'm going to regret saying this. And this is I'm a public company, you crazy person. See, this is how nice is it to be private?
Safe to say considerably more?
Well, let's reason about it, shall we? Okay, so let's reason about it. Let's reason our way through, okay? So first of all, it goes like this. The world has installed about $1 trillion worth of data centers. Those $1 trillion worth of data centers use general purpose computing. General purpose computing is run its course. We cannot continue to process that way. And so the world is going to accelerate everything. Data processing, you name it, okay? And so we're going to accelerate everything. When we accelerate everything, every single data center, every single computer will be an accelerated server. Well, there's about $1 trillion worth of computers, if we don't grow at all, over the next, call it 4 years, that we have to go replace. 4 years, 6 years, pick your number of years. But if the computer industry continues to grow at some 20% or so, we'll probably have to replace over the course of next, pick your number of years, about $2 trillion worth of computers with accelerated computing. So just make that GPUs, okay? That's number one. And this is the second part. This is the reason why all of you, Stripe, you're onto something just absolutely monumental. This idea called, and you've heard me say, an industrial revolution. Let me tell you why. We are producing something for the very first time that has never been produced before. And we're producing it in extremely high volume. And the production of this thing requires a new instrument that never existed before. It's a GPU. And the thing that we're producing for the very first time, for the mathematicians and all the computer scientists in the room, for all of you, you know that we're producing tokens. We're producing floating point numbers at high volume for the first time in history, and the floating point numbers have value. The reason why they have value is because it's intelligence. It's artificial intelligence. You can take these floating point numbers, you reformulate it in such a way that it turns into English, French, proteins, chemicals, graphics, images, videos, robotic articulation, steering wheel articulation. We're producing tokens at extraordinary scale. Now, we've discovered a way, through all of the work that we do with artificial intelligence, to produce tokens of almost any kind. So now, the world is going to produce an enormous amount of tokens. Now, these tokens are going to be produced in new types of data centers. We call them AI factories.
So everyone in this audience, again, runs a business. And so a practical question we all face is, how do you know if you're, in the face of the kinds of changes you just depicted, how does one know, how can one know whether one is responding appropriately, sufficiently, in the right ways, etc.? Any advice?
If you're not engaging AI actively and aggressively, you're doing it wrong. You're not going to lose your job to AI. You're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI. Your company is not going to go out of business because of AI. Your company is going to go out of business because another company used AI. There's no question about that.
Jensen, thank you.